All right, let's get started. Thanks, Confidence. So today we'll have Confidence, who's going to be building a task management app, very similar to Asana. We are going to get started in a minute. So let me just talk about what we'll cover today. So this is going to be a task manager, a simplified version of Asana that we'll be building to show you what all is possible in Appsmith and to teach you some more interesting concepts. So first, a little bit about Appsmith. With Appsmith, you can connect to any database, create queries on top of that database, connect that to widgets, and then instantly share any application. So we'll be showing all of that today. The first thing is we'll be building the UI on Appsmith, displaying data, using the list widget, forms, buttons, and table. That's what we'll be doing. All our data will be in Firebase. So we'll show you how to Firestore. You'll be using Firestore to store all the data, and then it's going to be a good example of just connecting to one of those popular real-time data stores out there. And then Confidence will be showing you how to write JavaScript and more complex IIFEs in Appsmith. So for now, over to Confidence. To introduce Confidence, he's one of our developer evangelists. He creates all our YouTube videos, educational content. So you would have already seen him on on our YouTube channel. So for now, let me hand it over to Confidence and let's see him build this application.
All right, thank you, Abhishek. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this is the application we are going to be building today. It is a task management application, and right here we are on the homepage. So the homepage has a really nice splash image, and we can see a little bit of statistics about what's going on in the organization. We have a chart here that shows us the task completion rate. So we can see the amount of tasks that are in progress, the ones that have been completed, and those that are yet to start. And to this side of the application, we have a small list that shows us the top 5 trending tasks that are being worked on by colleagues in the organization. So I can click on the new task button to create a task, assign it to someone, set a name, a description, fill in a date, set a priority, status, and click on the create button to create that task. Heading over to the task pane, here we have more information about the task that we are working on. So we have a list here of tasks that everyone is working on, and we can take a look at this. We also have some filters here. We can filter by assignee, say me, for example. We can also choose to filter by status and also by priority. And clicking on the task would give us a more detailed information about that task. So we have more information here. We can see the status, priority, description, and whoever was assigned to that task. We can update this task or delete it. And heading over to the comments tab, we have comments that are tied to that particular task. So we can see comments that have been made by teammates. We can create a new comment by clicking on new button. And when we made a comment, we can also delete it. We can't delete comments made by others. So this is one form of authorization that has been built into the application. All right, so this is what we're going to be building. Let us get started. So right here, I'll be starting from a boilerplate application just so that we can be a bit quicker. We already have the layout for the application right here. I also have the task view with the details and comments tab. In case you're wondering what widgets we are using here, we are using the tabs widget, and we can create more tabs to have more views. Heading over to the queries section, you see that we're using Firebase, as Abhishek mentioned earlier. The first thing we want to do here is to create a query that would get all tasks from the database. So I'll click on the new query button, and let us call this query get task. And it is going to grab all documents in the collection. For the collection part, this is going to be Asana. And we will want to do some ordering. So let us order by the date it was created. Okay, so this is going to be For some reason, my keyboard is not working. Okay. So this is going to be due dot seconds. It's working now anyway. All right. And that's done with the query. So we can run this and then get response coming from the database. So we'll have your response coming in from the database. Now, what I want to do is to link the data coming from the get task query to a list widget I'm going to be dropping right here. Can someone drop a snippet that would work in binding the data coming from that query to the list widget? So I'm going to wait for someone to do that. I'm just going to bring in a list widget while you are typing that out. So let's bring in a list widget right here. And I'm going to expand this. All right. Do we have any one in the chat?
Okay. Nobody yet, confidence. I think you'll have to do this on your own.
Okay, I'll do that.
We'll get the next one.
So to bind that data, all I need to do here is to write some JavaScript to get the data using get task, which is the name of the query, and .data. So there we have the data coming in, and taking a look at this on the evaluated value pane, we can see that the data is being fed into the list widget. Now I can go ahead to display this data by building out the list items. So I don't need an image widget, that's why I'm deleting that. And I'm going to copy this and paste the text widget so that we have 3 text widgets in here. First widgets here, what we want to do inside of it is to display the title of the task. And for the next widget, we would like to use it to display the assignee. And the last widget we have right here would be for the priority. So let's get things going by writing the bindings for each one of them. So the first widget we have right here is going to display the title. So this is going to be current item.title. Next is the assignee. So this is going to be current item.assignee. We can expand this a bit. All right. Here we are going to have the priority. So this is going to be current item.priority, and we have the priorities showing up right there. What we want to do is that we want to dynamically set the background color of the priority, such that for high priority tasks, it is marked by red background. For low priority tasks, it is marked by a green background. So I'm just going to paste in some snippet that does just that. And taking a look at what we have here, this snippet checks for the priority. If it is high, it returns a red color. If it is medium, it returns a yellow color. Else, it returns a green color for the low priority. So we can make this centered and then reduce this a bit. All right. We also want to be able to view a task. So we are going to add a view button, and let's call this view, and set the button style to secondary. And then we can resize this and move this down a bit. And then we have the view button that allows us to view the task. Heading back to the list widget, we will want to implement the logic for the filters we have right here so that we can filter by assignee, filter by status, filter by priority. And since the data returned from the get task query is an array, we can use the built-in JavaScript filter method. So we can say data.filter and then write the logic to do the filter. So we want to make sure that the only items that pass the through the filter are those that are contained. The only items that pass through the filter, an item will pass through the filter if the assignee is the one selected on the list. For example, selecting me is going to grab my email address. So I want to make sure that only those whose assignees are the email address of the currently logged in user can pass through this filter. So first we want to check for if it includes my email, then we want this to pass through the filter. If not, we want it to be filtered out. So this is going to be that includes. And then we want to grab the assignee from the value selected here. So this is going to be fassignee.selected option values. And we can check for this. Taking a look at this, we see that it already works because we can only see tasks here that have been assigned to my email address, which is shown up on the list. So setting this back to all, you can see that we have all tasks showing up right here. Now I can chain in more conditions for the status and for the priority by writing, by using the double and operator and then writing the filter. So to do that, I am just going to add the other conditions we need right here. This is the condition we need for the status, very similar to what we did for the assignee. We are checking to see if the status includes the status that was selected from the dropdown. And same also goes for the priority. We are checking to see if the priority includes the priority selected from the priority dropdown. So if we select something like low, for example, we are only going to have low priority tasks showing up. So let's reset this and set this back to all. All right, so now we can go on with building the view. But before we leave the list, what we want to do is that we want it such that when a task is clicked on, we go to store the data about that task in a local store. So to do that, I am going to head back to the list widget and set the on item click to store a value. And for the key, we want this to be the current task. So this is going to be current task. And for its value, we want to save the current item. So I explained in a bit why we are storing this in the local store, but for now, this is just what we're going to do. To build out the details view, we will need a form widget. So let's bring in a form widget right here. And I am going to resize this to take the entire space. All right, let's move the button to the bottom. Have one here, and we're going to have the other one here. All right. Now, the first thing we want to do is to display the title of the task. So we're going to use the text widget we have right here to do just that. So this is going to be the title. To get the title, we need to pull it out from the data that was stored in the local store. So this is going to be appsmith.store. Oh, it seems we don't have anything stored in local store yet. So I'm just going to click on the task. So let's click on the view here. All right, now we have something in the store. So this is going to be store.current item, current task. And I'm just going to copy this because I'll need it a few more times. Current task.title, and then we have the title showing up. We would need to also display the assignee, due date, priority, status, and description. So let's bring in some widgets to do that. So this is going to be for the assignee. I'm going to place that right there. This is going to be a label for the due date. We need one for the priority. We need another for the status. And we need one more for the description. All right, so now let's begin to fill this in. For the assignee, I'm going to be displaying its value in a text widget. So similar to what we did for the title, I'm just going to be grabbing the value from what is stored in the local store. And this is going to be .assignee. And we have the assignee showing up. Let's expand this a bit. And we can update the label to say assignee. All right. Next, we have the due date. So this is going to be due date. And we would need to display this using a date picker. So I'm just going to bring in a date picker right here. And then I would need to do the same thing I've been doing, pull the data from the store. So in this case, this will be current task.due.seconds. The reason why we're having the error here is because the data returned from the database is in a Unix timestamp format. So what we need to do is to make this in a regular date format. And we're going to convert that using the moment library. So we have moment.unix, and that is going to convert it into a regular date format. So we can call the .format. And there we have a regular date format. Since we have an error right here.
There's an extra R in format. Yeah.
You said?
There was an extra R in format. It was, you typed it as format. Yeah, this is.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So we have the dates showing up. Now let's update the name of this widget to say you due. And we have the dates set up. Next we have is the priority. So let's call this priority. And then we can display this using a drop-down widget, a select widget. So we have the select widget right here. I'm going to just paste this into the default option because I want to copy an array that describes the options we want to be able to select from. So this is going to be the options array, high, medium, and low. And then we can set the default option to be current task dot priority. So this is current task dot priority, and we have that showing up. So let's update the name to say new priority. All right, and moving on, we have the status. So this is going to be status, and set this to faint. And we similarly will be displaying this within a drop-down widget. So let's call this new status and paste in this right there. And then I'm going to copy over the array that describes the options we want to be able to select from. So this is the array. We have the to do, doing, and done. And for the default option, this is going to be current task.status. And we have the status showing up right here. Since I have a misalignment, I'm just going to bring that right there. And also here. So let's move this a bit closer. All right. Lastly, we have the description. So let's make this description. And we need to display this using an input widget. So I'm just going to bring in an input widget right here and expand this so that we are able to display more lines. So let's extend this. And we're going to call this view description. And for the default text, similarly to what we've been doing, we are pulling this from the store. So this is going to be current task.description. All right. So now we are able to click on a task, and here we have the detailed view of that task. The next thing we want to configure is the flow that actually lets us to update the task in the database. So we'll be using the submit button here for that. So let's call this update. And when this is clicked on, what we want to do is to execute a DB query and create an update query because we don't have a query that does updates right now. So let's call this update task. And we are going to be setting the database to be the Firebase database. All right, for the method, this is going to be update. And for the document part, we are also going to be pulling this from the store. So this is one reason why we are saving data in the store so that we can really easily access it from other parts of the application. So this is going to be current task dot underscore ref. And there we have the document part of the selected document showing up right there. Now we need to build the body of the data that will be sent up to the database. So here, right here where it says body, I'm just going to click here on it and then paste in a JSON object that actually grabs the data from the form and sends it up to the database. So all we are doing right here is that we are getting the value that is sent, that is converted to JSON from the form widgets we have on the page. So right here, we are grabbing the date from the date picker we described earlier, and we are converting this back to the Unix timestamp format. Same goes for description. We are grabbing this from the input widget. We are grabbing the priority from the priority dropdown, and same also for the status. And taking a look at the evaluated value pane, we can see that everything looks good, and we have query here. Going back to the application, after the update is done, we would like to be able to refetch the task. So when this is successful, what I want to do is to call the get task query one more time, and there we'll have the fresh data showing up on the application. I also want to build the flow for the delete button. So let's call this delete. And when, let's set this to this danger button. So when this is clicked on, we want to do a few things. First thing we want to do is to call the delete query, which actually goes to delete the document that has been selected. Let's go to the JavaScript mode because we want to do just more than delete. We want to be able to do a couple of things. So let's pass in a function that will be called when the delete is successful. So first thing we want to do is that we want to reset the current task that is stored in the application. So this is going to be store value. We want to delete it from the local store. So this is going to be current task. And we just want to pass in an empty object to delete it. Then when that's done, we want to call the get task query one more time so that we have fresh data coming from the database. So this is going to be get task.run. And we can also show a message to let the user know that the task has been deleted. So this is going to be show alerts. And we can see task deleted. And then we have the message written. So whenever this button is clicked, what we are saying right here is that we are going to call the delete task query. And then when that's successful, we are going to reset the app store and we run the get task query and show the user a message that the task has been deleted. So that's all that's going to happen when the delete button is clicked on. Now that we have the delete flow configured, we can go on to building the flow that actually lets us display comments. For that, I also need a list widget. So I'm going to bring in a list widget. So as I bring in a list widget, can someone help with the binding that will let us pull the comments for the current task from the store? Taking a look at a task has a couple of things. It has an assignee, due date, priority, and also has an array of comments coming from the database. So we need to pull that data coming from the task that was stored in the local store. So can someone help with that? Taking a look at the comments to see if anyone has shared something on the chat. So while you type that out, I am going to resize this widget so that it fits the entire screen. All right, do we have someone participating?
No confidence.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have to do this one again by myself. All right, so heading back to the list widget, what we are going to do here is that we want to pull the task from the item. We want to pull the comments from the task that was stored in the local store. So this is going to be appsmith.store.
Confidence, somebody. Yeah, I think.
Okay, that's it.
Nikhil Verma.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to copy what you typed and paste it right here. Yeah, you're right. So let's delete the question mark, and this is going to be current task.comment. And it seems we don't have anything in the store. Let's see. I'm going to click on the view button and go back to the widgets to see if Appsmith store. Since we have something wrong here. Okay, let's just type this out again and use the autocomplete to find out what the issue is. So this is appsmith.store.current_task.comment. And there we have the comments. So you're very correct, Brahma. Thank you very much for that. Then we can go on to display the data coming from the comments within the list items. So I don't need this image widget. I'm going to delete that. I would make use of the text widgets we have here to display the author of the comment and also the text that makes up that comment. So let's resize this. So for the first text widget we have here, we're going to display the author. So this is going to be current item.author, right? I'm going to expand this a bit. And here we are going to display the text. So this is going to be current item.text. And then we have the text from the comments or for the comments. Next, what we want to do is to add a button that lets us delete a comment. So we are going to expand this. And let's call this delete. And I'm going to set this to secondary button style. And when this is clicked, we want to do a couple of things. So let's go into the JavaScript mode and we'll need to write an if to do all the various things we want to do. So this is an if right here. All right, we have the if, and within it, what we want to do is that first we want to delete the comments from the local state of the application. And when that's done, we go to update the database. So to do that, I'm going to grab the comments from the local store and save it in the variable. So let's write const t for task and grab that from its value from appsmith.store.current task. All right. Now, since that's done, I would want to filter out the comment that was deleted and return every other comment back to the the task object. So this is going to be t.comments.filter, and I want to filter by ID. So if t.id not equal to the current item.id, it should pass through the filter. That means if it's not this comment we are deleting, let it pass through the filter. If it's the comment we selected on the list that we're trying to delete, it's not going to pass through the filter and hence will be deleted. So we can save this back into the task object. So this is going to be t.comment, saving that back. And we can continue to write out the code here. Now we can update the local store. So this is going to be store value. And we want to update the value of current task and want to set its value to what t is. All right. Now, since that's done, what we would want to do is to go to update the database. So to do that, I will need to run the update query that we built out earlier. So this is going to be update task.run. And when that is successful, I would like to call the get task query so that we have fresh data coming from the database. All right, so we have the flow for the comments wired up, and this is going to work. But we need to do one thing. We need to add comment support to the update query. So heading back to the update query, we need to add a line that is going to grab the comment list from the store and then add it to the update we are sending back to the database. So this is just going to do that. So we're grabbing the comments from the store and we are attaching it to this list, and that will be sent up and stored in the database. So taking a look at the evaluated value pane, we can see that we now have the comments array showing up right here. All right, we have the comments flow. Now we will need to add a flow that lets us create new comments. So for that, I'll be bringing in a button widget and I'm going to place it right here. Let's say new. And when this is clicked on, what we want to do is to open a modal. I already have a modal configured for the create flow, and that is the comments modal we have right here. So expanding this and clicking on it is actually going to open up that modal, and then we can add the comments. And similar to what we did for the delete button, we have the logic that that creates the comments and adds it to the local store right here. Taking a look at this, you can see that we are doing exactly the same thing. We're saving the task as a variable, and we are adding the task to the local store. We are adding the comments to the task, and when that's done, we save it in the local store, after which we run the update query that actually goes to save it in the database. So we can add a new comment saying new comment. Clicking on the save button is just going to add that. And we can see the new comment showing up since I clicked on the button twice, and then I can delete this since I have a duplicate. Yeah, and that's for the comment view. Now we can head back to the home page and finish things up. So let's head back to the home page. And here we have a welcome text. We want to be able to display the name of the currently logged in user so that it says welcome and your name. So this is going to be appsmith.user. That is the logged in user.name. And we have my name showing up right there because I'm the logged in user. And lastly, we want to put in our splash image. And there we have our splash image and everything looks good. So we can go ahead to deploy this by clicking on the deploy button. And here we have a nicely working app. We have pie charts, we have the list of trending tasks. We also have our task view that lets us to click on a task, see the details, see the comments, and create comments and delete comments. So this is our task management application. I hope you liked it. And I hope you also enjoyed building it along with me.
Thanks, Confidence. That was wonderful to see. So could you tell me a little bit about the first time when you built it? How long did it take you to set up Firebase, do everything together?
Took me about 2 hours, mostly because I was trying to think of the flow of the application and design the structure for how data would be in Firebase. Yeah, so it took me that much because of initial thinking. But you can build everything from scratch in about 30 minutes, give or take.
Got it. And what are the features that you think are missing? What else would you like to build in this task manager?
A notification system would definitely be useful. Say, for example, I create a task and assign, yes, notification. So say, for example, I create a task and assign it to you. It would be good to let you know that you have a task waiting for you. So having a notification system would be really nice. Maybe email notification. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, email and hopefully in the future, Appsmith notifications. Yeah. That sounds useful. What's the next app that you're going to build for us next time? Do you have something in mind already?
No, not yet. I am working on that, but I'll definitely let you know way before time so that you can join us to build it together.
Awesome. Thank you, Confidence. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Nikhil. And thanks, Usama, Vishnu, David. Thank you so much for joining us. This is what we have for you today. We'll put up the video on YouTube sometime tomorrow, I think. And we'll again see you next week.